It's time for Lefties Losing It, and let's start in the bluest of blue cities, San Francisco, a city so decrepit that The Guardian asks, why is San Francisco covered in human faeces? That's a real headline, folks. It's real. And today in San Francisco, the far left weren't just dodging the human poop epidemic, they were attacking ICE agents trying to do their jobs. So much screeching. Let's stay in California. Here is a blue-haired woman in San Diego laying hands on an officer. Not recommended. This was during a protest against the arrest of an illegal immigrant from Guatemala who had allegedly rammed his car into a government vehicle.
Not replying, and the moment I did something,
Oh, lady, you can't do that. You know, these people live in denial of democracy. There was an election. Donald Trump won on these very policies. He has a clear mandate to deport every single illegal immigrant. But even some commentators on Fox News seem to misunderstand that. Here is lefty Jessica Tarlov with this claim.
I'm saying that if you commit a crime once you are on U.S. soil, you should be turned over to ICE. And I think that's an easy exchange. And that's what people voted for in November. And you would have a much stronger case against the overreach that we're seeing in terms of what ICE is doing now that is not commensurate with what the American public wants. They didn't vote for people to show up at Home Depots. They didn't vote for people to show up at immigration courts. They didn't vote for the fact that there's new data out from Cato that 65% of the people that ICE has taken into custody have had no convictions.
What? That's precisely what they voted for. Are we just broadcasting wishful thinking as analysis now? Jessica, I don't know what parallel universe you've been inhabiting, but Donald Trump took a policy of deporting every illegal immigrant to an election and won in a landslide, and the polls have been clear ever since. The majority of Americans, including the majority of legal immigrants, support Trump's deportation plan. Let's go to CNN for this bit of analysis, a reality check for Jessica.
Deported all immigrants who are here illegally, 55% the New York Times, Marquette 64%, CBS News 57%, ABC News with a slightly different question, 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters.
There you go. It's pretty conclusive. Now let's have a little fun with the National Education Association. This is the largest teachers' union in America. It's full of hard left activists led by this woman, NEA President Becky Pringle.
Depending on us, rise up, NEA, hold on, hold on, don't let go of anyone's hand.
Wow, she's rather excitable, isn't she? I'm sure she'll calm down and make more sense if we just give her a chance.
Hell no! You're not taking money from our public schools. Not ever, not one election, not all the elections. We will stand! We will stand!
And let's check in on Stacey Abrams. You remember her, the Democrat with delusions of grandeur who somehow believes she won elections she clearly lost. She really thought she was the rightful governor of Georgia. Well, this democracy denier is now having delusions about living in a tyrannical Trump dictatorship where there'll be no more elections. I've said it before and I'll say it again. These people are nuts.
You send the U.S. Marines into spaces they should not be. You send the National Guard in. You kidnap people off of the streets and pretend that's normal, because that's how you quiet dissent, because you make everyone afraid that if they don't do what you want, they might be next. And once you've done those 9 steps, step 10 is easy. That's when you decide there won't be new elections, because everyone's either afraid, poor, broken, or complicit.
Welcome back. Now, we all know the indoctrination we see in schools is harming kids, harming their academic progress and filling their heads with hard left ideology rather than, you know, facts, figures and any notion of critical thinking. The teachers' unions embrace this political activism. Let's hear from an educator that won the Teachers Union's 2025 Teacher of the Year. Now, this teacher sees her role as inherently political.
Once I realized how deeply political our profession had always been, I knew I could no longer stay on the sidelines. So I got involved, I found my people, and my people helped me find my voice.
And here are more activist teachers discussing how they can start the political indoctrination earlier. Don't wait for higher education, don't wait for university, start much sooner.
I left higher education and work in a high school now. So everyone who raised your hand and said that you got radicalized in college, imagine if you got radicalized 4 years earlier. We need to organize undergraduates to join in this struggle because we're students and workers. And now I just want to say, because I think a lot of people here are in higher ed, like, work with the high schools, connect with the teachers unions.
Joining me now is American Culture Project Senior Fellow and School Choice Advocate Corey DAngelus. Corey, how widespread is this problem and how culpable are the teachers unions?
Yeah, it's pretty widespread. And there's actually a nationwide survey that came out earlier this year in the United States showing that about 36% of students reported that their teachers reported often or almost daily that America is a fundamentally racist nation. So it's pretty crazy. You have this going on at the higher education level, but it's also going on at the K through 12 level. I think it actually bubbles up through the government school system, and they take that same ideology with them to college. And you had this person, Tina, that you just showed from the Socialism 2025 conference. They're saying it out loud that they want to use the school system to indoctrinate kids with far left ideology. It's about time we have school choice so that families can seek alternatives that align with their values.
Well, let's hear from the biggest teachers union in America. This is the president of the National Education Association. This is Becky Pringle.
Depending on us, rise up, NEA, hold on, hold on, don't let go of anyone's hand.
Oh, dear me. Corey, if that's the president, then you can see what direction the union's going to go. They are out and loud and proud activists. They're not backing down at all.
Exactly. They see this as a tool of indoctrination. They don't see the school system as a way to improve educational outcomes. And this was at the NEA's leadership summit, where they're basically having the inmates run the asylum. Do you want this person educating your kids? Do you want them teaching your children in a public school? Absolutely not. So this is free advertising for homeschooling and school choice. This is the person who controls the school system in the United States, the biggest teachers union in the country. They also have a federal charter. Why do they have the backing of Congress? The United States Congress should revoke that charter immediately and not allow them to have any more power.
Well, you got a leaked copy, Corey, of the National Education Association's resolutions that they passed at their annual meeting. This is incredible stuff. It's got resolutions like this. Let's look at this one. We're talking here about America's, like you said, largest teachers union vowing to defend against Trump's embrace of fascism by using the term fascism, misspelled, in NEA materials, correctly characterise Donald Trump's program and actions. Now, never mind the spelling and grammar crimes in that sentence, Corey. The ideology here is so wacky, so dangerous, and so out of touch with the mainstream. We're talking here about the popularly elected president.
Yeah, this is insane. I mean, and it's just beyond parody that they can't even get the spelling right. To spend thousands of dollars to call the president a fascist. They also had a separate one to call abolishing the Department of Education racist. So everything they don't like is either racist or fascist. They're just going to name call, but it's so ridiculous. If anything, the school system is what is racist. It's trapping poor, low-income kids, minority kids in failing school districts just based on their zip code. They're sentenced to a lifetime of poverty, and the school system is to blame. We should give the money to those families so they can go to other schools that give them better academic achievement results and better opportunities. So yeah, the NEA is it has an incestuous relationship with the Democrat Party. That lady that was screaming, Becky Pringle, She actually has a position as an at-large member in the U.S.'s Democratic Party at their Democratic National Convention. They're basically the same organization at this point. They're so partisan, and they just can't help themselves. They just inject politics into the classroom day after day. And this is, again, free advertising to pull your kids out of those schools.
Absolutely. It's free advertising for homeschooling as well if you don't have school choice. Corey, let's look at a couple of other resolutions that were passed, including defending birthright citizenship and opposing the attempt to revert to pre-civil rights movement Jim Crow legal concepts of states' rights in order to deny citizenship to the children of immigrants. Again, a passage filled with grammar crimes. And there was also this, with the union vowing to support students who are dissenting and organising against Trump's policies with regard in particular to ICE, to immigration and customs enforcement activities. They're creating not just activists, but agitators here.
It's insane. What is that? None of these resolutions have anything to do with education of doing the basics, getting math, reading, and writing correct. It's ideological conformity that they're enforcing, and they are brainwashing kids. They have about 50 million kids in the government school system in America. They have a lot of power over these children. These are young, impressionable minds, and it should really upset the parents. I mean, they tried to position this resolution on immigration policy as being about pro-freedom for students expressing themselves. But as you can see in their resolution, they say they're all for the students expressing themselves when it's about when they're against Trump's policies. It doesn't say, well, we support the students and their First Amendment right to support or oppose Trump's policies. No, they put their thumb on the scale in one direction, and that's against their political opponents. Because again, the teachers union is just an arm of the Democrat Party. It's so obvious. All of their political contributions go to the left-wing Democrats every single year. About 99% of that funding is funneled to Democrats. It's a money laundering operation, and it ought to be illegal. At the very least, we need to revoke their federal charter. They're a political organization. They're not an education organization.
Now, Corey, before you go, you scored a big win recently, a win in a First Amendment lawsuit in a federal court against a school district. Tell me briefly about this case and why this school district now has to pay you $30,000 and also pledge to have their employees undertake training on the First Amendment.
I mean, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Imagine you have a school district that doesn't understand the First Amendment, and they're having to do mandatory trainings to now tell all of their employees how to respect the First Amendment rights of their constituents and the parents and the students. Basically, what happened was they were illegally using taxpayer resources to lobby against school choice last year. And so I called them out on it, and they blocked me on their Facebook page. They also started to restrict comments because other people were calling them out for this activity as well. And that's a First Amendment violation. They're a government entity. They cannot restrict the free speech rights of their constituents or school choice advocates. The judge ordered them to pay my $30,000 in attorney's fees and legal fees. And they also have to do this mandatory training. They also had to admit that they were wrong and promise basically to never do it again. And this is enforceable by a federal judge. So it's a big win for free speech.
Fantastic. That's what conservatives have to do. You have to fight these battles and win them. And Corey DAngelus, you are very good at it. Thank you so much for your time tonight.